Here we go. We're just doing a country drive vlog here, going out to a small town not too far away from where we live, called Perth. And I don't know, I've got a different setup on my 360 here, so I don't know if it's actually going to work or it's going to be too much of a vibration, so it's hard to say. Anyway, I've got this thing extended slightly so that hopefully we can see the rider in the back. That would be my goal anyway. We'll see how it goes. And I guess I'll be doing a right turn here. Should work pretty well. It's another warm, really nice warm day here today for this time of year, which is good. It's end of August 2024 right now, and there's not going to be too many awesome days like this around anymore, so that's going to be pretty good. So I'm going to get into my right lane, and the reason I'm doing this is so that the rider behind me, if you guys can see, can ride in the left lane. The rider behind me has a little less experience and a newer motorcycle, so the margin of error, I think, when you're on the left side is a little bit better than on the right side here, but I like to call it a reverse staggered formation. So normally I'd be in the left and he'd be in the right, but for now this will work. So here we are driving through a couple bridges over the Mississippi River, which is kind of cool, and we're doing a left turn up here. Not too sure how long we're gonna have to wait at this light. And then I don't know if we should be okay, but sometimes when you're riding a motorcycle, you don't trigger the little pads on the road or the wires that are carved into the road as far as a pressure point, and you know, you could be sitting on your motorcycle for a while waiting for the light to change, but it looks like we should be good to go. Hopefully the light is changing, and then it's going to be a straight drive up out of the city and then along a highway, which is going to be probably about a 25-minute ride, and then we're into the small town. So here we go. Little bit of debris on the road there, and you always have to be careful of sand and gravel on the road. That is not our motorcyclist friend, that's for sure. Shoulder check there, and making sure that the rider is behind me is far enough behind that I don't take him out when I go in there. There's a nice blue Corvette there. Looked like a C8. That's pretty decent. And I wanted to take my blue Corvette out today as well, but I had a pretty busy weekend this weekend. My daughter and I headed to Syracuse, New York, Watertown and Syracuse. So a few times a year we like to get out of our small town in Canada here and head into the US. We can easily get down to places like Watertown and Syracuse, have a full day there to relax and enjoy ourselves, and then be back here at our place, back in this country town in Canada the same day. So it's really convenient. It doesn't cost anything to go to the US as far as additional travel and things like that. And you know, as they say in Canada anyway, and most likely in the US, our closest partners, allies, and friends on this planet are the US, and that's just the way it is. I'm so thankful for that. We've got a great group of great country and a great group of people that live very close to us. I mean, if I can drive from where I live, go into New York State, have a great day, spend some money down there, and see some sights with no border tension either. So I have to say that the border guards, both for entering the U.S., awesome. They ask a few normal, simple questions. They require passports for border crossing either from Canada into the U.S. or vice versa. So extremely professional, polite, and they waved us through into the U.S. No problem. Very welcoming for those of us who have Canadian passports and things like that. So super nice. We had a great time down in Syracuse. Went up to Syracuse University, where they have the Q, or the Syracuse Orange. It's not quite NCAA football yet, but that's starting off next weekend. So I'll be going down there for a couple of the Syracuse Orange games. They're a lot of fun. Maybe my son and I will either take our motorcycles down there for a day trip if the weather is pleasant enough, or I'll go down in one of our cars. I'd love to take one of the Corvettes down there, but those things are a little bit more expensive on gas for sure, so it would be a little bit more. So round trip is 300 and something miles, or 400 and something miles, 560 or 70 kilometers or something like that, which isn't bad if you do it within a day. It's not too much. So I took my original red Honda CRX, which you guys have seen on the channel, which I try and do something with that once in a while. So that CRX is yeah, I bought it when I was 25 in 1987. Never winter driven it, or it hasn't really been in any bad weather. So I took that all the way down to Syracuse yesterday on, I would say, roughly one tank of gas. So in American dollars, maybe round trip from my place way up here in Canada down to Syracuse was probably like $30 to $35 of gas. So it was really affordable trip. The only down part about a day trip into the US, and it's vice versa as well. Okay, gotta watch this car here who wants to make a left. You know, I hate these scenarios where they've got their nose out and they're kind of like, you never know if they're going to try and do a left turn, and it's a particularly dangerous situation on a or potentially dangerous situation on a motorcycle. So sometimes you have to look out for that. This is one of my favorite corners, not so much for the actual cornering, but behind me here, beautiful views of that farmland, and it looks great either way around. So hopefully on this 360 camera I can edit that in so you can see that view coming around this corner, which is kind of cool. I'm using an invisible selfie stick on this trip out here, and I've got the camera raised about a foot to 14 inches off my handlebars, and I wanted to raise it up a little bit so that I could catch the rider in the back. Last time I did it, I wasn't able to catch him in the back, so hopefully I have him on video here. Maybe if I duck down you can see the guy. What can I comment about riding with family members on motorcycles? Traditionally, my entire motorcycling career, I've only been motorcycling with friends, and people have motorcycle groups that I have, so I'm always careful. And my son's in a particularly awkward spot here trying to cross over. There, he did a good job. So I haven't ridden too much with my son, and he decided that he wanted to get a motorcycle, and basically bought it in the past month and has been going through the break-in period with it right now, which is what it is. So we try and put on some miles. We've got about I got to do about 600 to 700 miles on it, I forget exactly, and up here in Canada in kilometers. kilometers, it's 1,000-kilometer break-in period with incremental steps. So you can only have so many RPMs for the first 250 kilometers, and then after that you can have more RPMs on the engine, and then progressively as you get up to finishing the break-in period, you can then start extending the legs of the motorcycle as far as the capacity of the engine and stuff. So that's pretty cool. There may be something going on up here. We got an interesting thing from another motorcyclist. I think he was tapping on his head. I don't know what that means, but it could mean that there's radar up here or whatever. But probably like most of you guys on the motorcycles, I glance down on my speed periodically, but often I eyeball it and I just try and do the speed of the traffic, right? So as long as I fit in with the volume of the traffic, I think that I'm doing okay. With my with the rider behind me, he's on a restricted license, kind of. He's actually done all the training and has done the test to have what they have here in Ontario, which is an M2 license, which is more or less unrestricted. So any highway conditions, any time of the day or night, the only thing that they don't tolerate is any level of blood alcohol in your body, which is fine. You're allowed to have that license for 5 years, and then you have to have another test. It's more like a not how to operate your motorcycle test, but it's more like a road test as far as can you drive your motorcycle in highway conditions, can you merge onto the highway, and all the advanced riding. So that M2 license really lasts for 5 years, with the premise that you go and do an additional test and you get your full M license. So a lot of people take more training at kind of a motorcycle school that is either run out of a university or college on the weekend. They prepare you, give you lots of scenarios so that you get used to riding on the highway and merging, and special, more advanced motorcycle riding skills or handling skills. And then they get examiners out, and typically when you're getting examined for stuff like this, is they'll follow you in a car, and you'll have an earbud in your ear, and they'll have a transmitter in the car, and they'll give you instructions. So they'll follow you, and they'll give you instructions that you have to follow. So they'll tell you to slow down, speed up, turn right, turn left, try and do a parallel park type of thing, or whatever. So for me, I did it over a decade ago, I think, and I thought it was really fun. Not intimidating at all, but interesting and fun. So hopefully when he gets ready to do that, he'll feel comfortable to do that. So what else can I say about that? It's kind of interesting. In layman terms, they would say, oh, okay, does motorcycling with your son or your family member, does that strengthen any bonds or anything like that? I don't know. I'd like to think so. I'm always a little bit cautious or nervous or concerned when I have a family member who's riding a motorcycle, just like the family members would be concerned about me riding a motorcycle and going out as well, right? Because there are risks associated with riding motorcycles. For example, right now we're going close to 60 miles an hour or 100 kilometers an hour. You never know. So, you can do things to prevent accidents from occurring, and that's defensive driving and making sure that your motorcycle is mechanically sound. So you saw me put on the new tires a couple of weeks ago. I usually do that every 2 years, no matter what. It makes you as a rider feel a lot more comfortable and confident with that, which is cool. And other things that I find are interesting is I do all my maintenance as well. It's a great way to know the machine that you're trusting your life with when you're going out for rides. So, you know, I make sure I have the chain lubricated properly with the right type of lubricant, that I have a new filter and fresh oil in for the season, that my chain is at the right tension, that my tires are balanced properly and installed properly, and that my axles have the right torque on them. And you know, part of it is because I'm interested, and the other part is it just allows me to do some more advanced motorcycling, I would say techniques, but planning, right? If you plan to be safe and you do things that are going to make your bike safe, then the probability of being safer is a little bit higher. So I can relate this to scuba diving. So professionally, I'm a qualified scuba diver, and I can do that at work if I decide to do that. And you know, I am getting a little bit older, so I'm not necessarily employed 100% as a diver, right? But when I was younger, for sure, that was a big part of my career. I still hold the qualification, but I'm currently not in a job position where I'm going to be diving as part of my taskings or work taskings. I'm very much a office worker now, a department head or section head of a group of people that do work for me. So on the civilian side, I'm a qualified basic diver, if you guys know what that is. I'm a qualified advanced diver, and I'm also a qualified rescue diver as well. So I'm going to go out and go out. It's really hard here to like, normally I would have passed this guy, but I have a more junior rider behind me, let's say, and I'm trying to think of that person's safety as I make decisions as well. So it's challenging for me to be riding with two people. Blast by this person. My son seems to be able to do that pretty well, which is great. One of the things that we are going to be doing, at least when we're riding in tandem like this, is getting communicators, because it would be so much easier just to communicate and talk our way through some of the things that we're deciding to do. Hey, this is great on a brand new stretch of asphalt here. I don't know how long it's going to last, but it's a nice stretch of road here. It's like glass. So with my motorcycle, new tires, nicely balanced, this is super smooth, super nice. And I'm going close to 70 miles an hour, and the rider behind me is doing fine. Yeah, moving on to things. So when I think about when I was a rescue diver, it's not necessary. Well, you learn tactical level skills about how to rescue a down diver, how to bring up an unconscious diver, non-breathing even, from various depths, how to get them up to the surface, put them in a safe towing position, even initiate artificial respiration while you're towing them in your full diving gear. And then once you get to the shore, to start CPR or artificial respiration with the down diver. So that's part of being a rescue diver. The other part is your planning. So even before diving is understanding where you're diving, what your decompression rates would be, what's safe, if you're doing 2 dives, what your interval is between your diving, and then just looking at the situation, looking at your own personal conditions and the conditions of your team members as well. So a lot of it is advanced planning when it comes to rescue diving, to anticipate things that could go wrong. So when it comes to motorcycling, I look at it the same way. Before I go out motorcycling, maybe not to the same degree, but I often use those rescue diver thought processes, like thinking about my ride, making sure I give my motorcycle a once over before I get on it, and planning for all contingencies, I guess. I wouldn't say it's that strict, but it's more situational awareness on where you're going, why you're doing it, who you're riding with, what their capabilities are, and what you plan to do on your typical motorcycle ride. So to me, that's a little bit about advanced planning, and the more experienced you are and the more careful you are as a motorcyclist, the better planning you can. And I tend to give that a little bit more thought as a father or a parent, especially if I'm riding with somebody like my son behind. I know that I'm feeling, although I'm not 100% responsible, but I'm feeling responsible for not only me but somebody else as well. So we talk about what we're doing and why we're doing it before we go on a ride, and so we're more or less on the same page, and that just eliminates a higher probability of confusion, I guess. And so far it seems to be working, and we're learning to ride together so that we understand the signals and how each other rides as well. And sometimes he's in front of me and sometimes I'm in front, and what he said at one time is he prefers me in front so he can watch how I approach various motorcycle situations. And so you learn by watching, and you learn by doing, right? So occasionally these days, like maybe on the way home, he'll lead the ride back, right? And I'll follow him on the way back. And together we'll make this ride a great experience, but also a shared responsibilities of leading and following as well. So that's pretty cool. It's been a beautiful weekend, a beautiful 2 days. Saturday, gorgeous, great trip to Syracuse. Today, fantastic day out as well. It is getting a little bit late. It's 5:30 p.m. right now. We're just doing a short trip to put some miles on these bikes, have a little bit of time out in this amazing summer weather that we're having. It's really, really nice. Now we're just cruising along at 65 miles an hour, right on the dot. Well, the other thing I think that is interesting about new motorcycles, so in his case, he's got a Kawasaki Ninja 650. It's a great motorcycle from what I can see. It's perfect for either a beginner moving into intermediate stages, and I think that it could also be a motorcycle that you, depending on what you're craving, could be a motorcycle that you keep for sure. I don't see why not. It's definitely got the weight behind it. I think it's even heavier than this GSXR by about 20 pounds. So it's not going to get buffeted around in the weather. I don't know if you guys ride motorcycles or have before, but on windy days or gusty days, it's a lot less fun. But these motorcycles have significant weight to them, so they don't buffer around in the wind that often. They're just really, really solid motorcycles. And that adds to enjoyment and safety at the same time. So I think that's really good. And yeah, here's another scenario where a guy wants to do a left turn. We're coming up. I'll tell you, I don't know what it is, but almost every time I go out on a motorcycle, those weird intersections where somebody either wants to pull out and do a right turn in front of you, or somebody wants to pull out and do a left turn, happens way more, it seems, when I'm riding a motorcycle than it does when I'm not. So it's purely coincidental, but it's just to the type of machine this Kawasaki is. From a cockpit point of view, or the instrument panel with all the information, all digital. And it also, you can toggle it from a generalized black screen night look, or with a flick of a button it's got a lighter screen with you know, darker letters versus a dark screen with light letters. So that's pretty cool. It's all super integrated with a Kawasaki app with Bluetooth, so it's really interesting in that regard, and very much suited to the types of expectations that younger riders would have with their equipment. So it helps these riders feel comfortable that, number one, they've got a great machine, number two, they understand all the electronic interfaces and how they work, and I think that's a real plus. My motorcycle, which is 11 years old, and mind you, it looks brand new, has none of that, right? So it's just an independent machine. It's got a little bit of digital and analog display, but there's no Bluetooth connectivity or anything like that. So it's less connected. So if you are a younger person buying something like this motorcycle, or using a motorcycle like this, it wouldn't necessarily be as modern or useful, I guess, would be a good way of putting it. So there was supposed to be a gas station around here, a Shell gas station, so not too sure where that is right now, but I'll see if it's up the road. Do you know where the gas station is? Oh, there we go. I'll follow him now because he knows where the gas station is. I don't. Oh, there we go. Have a little couple issues with his back brake light, but you know, it's all part of the break-in period, right? So so far it looks like it's working pretty good. Hopefully we get this light before the onslaught of traffic. So it's Sunday night, it'll be busy. We live on the outskirts of Ottawa, Canada, so a lot of people go away for the weekend to cottages and stuff like that, so they'll be returning, if they're smart, as late as possible on Sunday. So we're heading into this town called Perth. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of it. It's a nice country town. It's been around for a while. It's kind of like an old school country town, and hopefully you'll get to see that as we buzz through here over some train tracks. Not too bad, and just like how you'd expect with a younger driver, they have all the Gucci stuff like quad locks and iPhones and things like that. I personally, I may use the quad lock system, but I'm using the RAM system and a series of RAM mounts. So I have a stem mount that goes in the stem of between my forks, and that's a RAM mount, and it has a ball on top, and all the other connectors, which you may be able to see down here, are RAM mount. And there is a RAM mount or a quad lock with a ball on it that I can put on the RAM mount, which I'm considering, but right now I don't necessarily have a requirement. But since the rider in front is doing that, he's starting off with quad lock, and it's really good. I just got an issue with my thing here, which hopefully when we stop I'll be able to fix it. Not too sure why that fell down, but and I'm not too sure where we're exactly going either. But there is going to be a light up here, which hopefully I can just fix this. At least it didn't fall off. That's a bonus. I just need to get this done real quick. there we go, fixed. And you know what? Sometimes it's important to know your own equipment in case stuff doesn't work. So that's a great antique place. Gore Street Antique Market just closed for the day, but it's really, really neat. I love going in that place when I come down here. These small Ontario towns have great collectibles and antiques that aren't picked over. There's not a lot of people that look for stuff like that around here, so that's kind of cool. And I believe we're on the hunt for a Shell gas station, which apparently, and I may not be correct, but they have better quality gasoline for motorcycles than other gas stations. So here we go. And the main thing is there's not ethanol added. So I just have to check and see how much I need and whether or not I'm going to actually put some stuff in here or not. So if I do, I will. If I won't need to do it. But I will check and just turn this machine off here. I have done 189. Yeah, so I'm going to put some in as well while I do that. And I'm going to take my helmet off because it's, well, maybe I don't have to do that, but we'll see. So yeah, I don't know if there's ethanol or not with that. Yeah, V-Power contains no ethanol, and that's why we come here, so that's pretty cool. And I will be putting that in. I mean, I don't mind putting the ethanol in it, but if you can come to these gas stations that you can. Just going to reset all my parameters here. Yeah. I always make sure that when I'm done filling up, I reset my tripometers, odometers, or trip meters, so that I can determine my next empty mode, because unlike a lot of motorcycles, for some reason this particular motorcycle does not have a fuel gauge. But it is what it is. So let's start her up. Tilt my visor down a little bit, and I'm going to take the lead again, and he's going to follow me, I guess. Click her into first gear. Sometimes it doesn't go in. If it doesn't, just let off the clutch, then click it in. That's pretty good. And I guess I'll be turning right up here and see where it goes. Maybe I'll do a turn around here. That looks like a blindly going down all over the place. And I want to go out and do a left turn on this road here. Well, I'm not liking how I got this camera set up right now, but hey. It might create some decent video, it may not. Who knows? This motorcycle has a little bit of a grunt or a snort to it. So as soon as you hit the gas, it kind of goes. So that's kind of neat. Yeah, so as we're coming up into Perth here, which is pretty cool. I don't know if this town is known for anything. They do make, they do have a distillery around here. So this is the antique place that I was talking about. Been in there several times. It's pretty cool. And like most places, we have Tim Hortons. I saw a Tim Hortons down in Watertown or Syracuse yesterday, which was kind of cool. They call it Tim Hortons, but they also identify it as a cafe and bakery or something like that, where here we just call it Tim Hortons. And we all know that it's like a coffee tone-up place. And they sell a whole bunch of other stuff too. So here's a cool town hall of Perth. And we're going to be going over a canal right here. I've been down here on my kayak several times. It's a great place to go. It's really nice. And Now we're going through the main downtown. There's a nice park over there, and which we're not going to go into. This is just primarily a motorcycle ride type of thing. That's a great coffee house. Really nice country type of coffee house. And these little towns haven't changed too much, although, you know, inside the stores they're different, but as far as the exterior, they're very much similar to what they would have been like 100 years ago, I think. Roads are better though, but other than that, it's pretty good. Yeah, so this town has a flashing green light, which is kind of old school. They don't use that. I mean, it's still known, but most places will have a flashing green arrow. But the older towns may still have a flashing green light, and that used to mean an advance red. So they've replaced most of them to being a flashing green arrow opposed to just being a flashing green. So that's something new and different, and that's what they do. Barber shop. That's a cool, looks like an old movie thing. GM. I like that. Looks nice. And we go back in here. And this is more or less following the same lady on roller skates. That's kind of cool. More or less following the same way. I don't know where the other rider is, so I'm going to slow down. Oh, here he is. Woo. I'm going to wait for the guy. Pop that all the way down. The sound's probably a little bit deeper, and I'm just gonna go get an iced coffee. I think would be nice about now, and gonna stop in. I think they have things here like summer drink days at places like McDonald's, so I'm gonna go in and grab a relatively decent iced coffee for about $1.50, which will be perfect little break here. And then we're going to do our motorcycle ride back. So here we are passing the beer store. That is the labeling that they used to put on these places back in the 70s. Most of the places now, they don't call them, well, they don't have that old signage anyway. And they used to call them the Brewers Retail, which I think they do, and they also have rebranded them as a more modern looking store. It's still called the beer store. So we're going to be doing, I think it's going to be a left up here actually. I think. I don't know. I honestly don't know. No, actually it's going to be a right. I have no friggin' idea. Here we go. Not going to win any friends with my son, that's for sure, not knowing my way around here, but it is what it is. So look, thanks again for watching this vlog. Oh, there's some cool bikes in there. Those things are expensive, man, but those are good. So thanks you guys for watching this vlog, and we'll see you right back here at Motorcycology next time. Appreciate you all, and thanks for watching.